Peace, peace, peace. I am Philip Roundtree, and you are tuned into the July 6th edition of Rhetorically Speaking. Props to those of you who are tuned in on IG Live. Salute to everybody watching on Facebook. Make sure you hit that share button. And last but certainly not least, props to those of you who are viewing on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. So listen, we got a dope show. Hopefully it lasts a little bit. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, I hope that it lasts a little bit, right? Because I was like, I want to talk about these topics, but then again, it's just like it can be draining being black in America. You know what I mean? So it's just like I just don't want to perseverate on race and ethnicity and white supremacy and capitalism and misogyny. I mean, it's draining, man. It's draining, but we're gonna make it do what it do. Hopefully, you get some laughs, you get some chuckles. As always, I definitely want to hear your opinion on these topics. For those of you tuned in on IG, I always recommend going over to YouTube or Facebook at PhilMSW because you get to view the videos that I'm showing. When I start talking about the whites doing the national anthem in the Walmart, I want you to be able to see that. I want you to be able to feel that, right? I want you to be able to see what it could potentially be like being a watermelon in Walmart and just white folk just start singing. I think that's important for you to feel. You know what I mean? So head on over to the YouTube. So we're gonna get this party started by first talking about my bald head, right? And it's something that I haven't really factored in. I think this was the first experience I've ever had with this. So I'm still newly bald. I've been bald now probably about the last year. I had locks prior to that. It's not my first time going bald, but I think this is the first time I've gone bald where I tried to regrow my hair and I realized the hairline is not coming in and coming back as quick as I would like for it to. You know what I mean? And so that's humbling, that's sobering. And so today I called myself doing some maintenance with the bald head. I got my clippers out and I start going and I'm like halfway through and it goes and it dies. And so now here I am with a little patchy head. I got to get ready to go to the gym. And so I start feeling self-conscious. It's nothing I've never experienced it before because I can't get the clippers out because my hair isn't long enough to get the hair that's on my head. And so I'm stuck. And so I had to make some business decisions. Yes, I have a razor, but I don't necessarily like the razor because it's like too close with the razor. It's still some semblance of hair. It's like that shadow that exists with the baldy when you use like a electric razor. And so I was just like, forget it, man. I'm out. I'm going to the gym. The anxiety that I was feeling, and this is what we do as a therapist. We might do some exposure therapy. You know what I mean? If you're feeling anxious in certain situations, we might have to train ourselves, put ourselves in these types of difficult situations so we can learn how to deal and cope and control our thoughts, feelings, and emotions in it. And so initially when I walked into the gym, I wanted to have like a towel on my head. Like you can't see it because it's the back. I got like the little shag in the back. Maybe it might be a style. I think down south they be having the little baldy up front and then they be having the hair right here like a little patch or something. But I think that's the down south trend. We up north. But after about 15, 20 minutes, I was just like, F it, man, it is what it is. I'm out here to do one thing. And that's get my workout in. Now, you can't really necessarily make eye contact with people because then you're going to start getting self-conscious. So I said when I'm saying what's up to people, I'm trying to look past them. Or I'm trying not to turn my head necessarily so they can see like the patches of hair that exist on my dome. And so now I know I always got to keep the electric shaver on the charge. Always, at all times. I maybe even need to buy another one. Just so I can have two. So just in case I forget to charge one, I'm still Gucci. With that being said, we're going to get into this first topic. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with Nikole Hannah-Jones, she is a dope black woman, a dope sister. She's a Pulitzer Prize award-winning journalist. She's the creator of the, I want to call it infamous 1619 Project. She may be the impetus for this debate on critical race theory that white folk have undertaken, even though they have no idea what it is. Right? So Nikole Hannah-Jones today, she spoke with Gayle King, shout out to Gayle, on CBS, and she revealed that she is not accepting tenure at UNC, her alma mater, where she got her master's degree. Instead, she will be taking her talents to Howard University. And so now me saying that is interesting. Like we hated LeBron when he did that. Right? He went on TV. He raised like $1 million for the Boys and Girls Club. And he said, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. I don't know. Maybe we just hate when our athletes do it, when they announce their decision. But our intellects, our scholars, we don't. I don't know. It's just interesting. I got to tease that out more and I'm wondering why that might be an issue. So for those of you who aren't familiar with, again, Nikole Hannah-Jones, she was up for tenure at UNC, her alma mater. She was overwhelmingly approved by the school's promotion and tenure committee and the journalism department. So the last step was for it to go before the board of trustees. Now, granted, again, she done got approval from everybody. Not everybody, but clearly the people that matter. Her peers, these different committees. And they like, yo, we with it. We want you to head this department. We're here for it. And tenure is big. Right? The majority of professors at universities are like myself. They're either adjunct, non-tenure track, or part-time. They constitute the majority of professors at universities. So if you can get tenure, it's this idea that you're home free. It's not necessarily that you can't get fired. But what it means is if you're doing what you got to do, you safe. You're safe. As opposed to those other ones where I'm an adjunct. They could just straight up tell me, Phil, all right, man, peace out. And I can't say nothing. And I'm not getting paid. I get paid peanuts. I just put a curriculum together the other day. As an adjunct, I had to put together a curriculum for a class that I'm teaching. Now, I didn't cry and complain about it. Why? Because this is experience for me. Best believe I'm putting this on my curriculum vitae. That's the fancy shit that you got to give when you apply for these jobs. Send me your curriculum vitae that outlines all the shit you done achieved and did. So I can put curriculum creator on there. Just make me look a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? But they don't pay me for that. I'm supposed to be able to come in. It's supposed to be plug and play. It's supposed to be plug and play. Especially if you're part-time or adjunct. You really only there to teach. You know what I'm saying? But there's an expectation that you got to do so much more. Which is unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? But hey, heavy is the head that wears the crown. I wanted this experience so I could get in to hopefully get in the position where I'm tenured at some point once I get my doctorate and all that jazz. And so these are like the bullshit that you gotta sift through. And so she done went through all that. She created the 1619 Project, right? Whose aim was to, and let me pull it up because I want to make sure I'm representing it accurately. It aims to reframe the country's history by placing the consequences of slavery and the contributions of Black Americans at the very center of the United States national narrative. I don't understand why white folk got a problem with that. But I understand why white folk got a problem with that. Because again, if we want to be standing in Walmart singing the Star Spangled Banner, is that the national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner? Our hand over our hearts? Or is that the Pledge of Allegiance? I don't know. Whatever y'all do, I don't do the shit. And I instruct my daughter not to do it too. You know what I mean? You want to be oblivious to these types of things, right? You want to keep this this narrative, this idea of what your country is. You don't want to hear about the negative acts committed against groups who've been intentionally marginalized and disenfranchised. You don't necessarily want to hear about their contributions and how a country was built on the backs of a specific population. Nah, because that messes up the warm, fuzzy feeling that you have in your stomach. It might make it a little bit difficult for you to get out there and celebrate the 4th. If you think about the atrocities committed against indigenous people. Talking about discovered land. It's still people who are saying it was discovered. They conquered. They don't want to say stole. Right? They don't want to say that. And so the 1619 Project aimed to truly, for a curriculum, to truly have these types of conversations. Again, the truth. That's all it is. But we know that folk are scared of the truth. And so hence the reason why we have these anti-critical race theorist individuals, which again, they have no idea what critical race theory is. And legislation is being passed. Again, they have no idea what it is. And so with that being said, Nikole Hannah-Jones came up for tenure. And as I said, she was approved by these varying bodies. But when it got to the Board of Trustees, they like, yeah, we ain't feeling this 1619 project. This ain't for us. So we're going to deny it. Right? Which bucked the trend, because typically if you're approved by everybody else, they follow along with it. But if you're getting pushback from the community, if you're getting pushback from individuals who are on the Board of Trustees, people talk about pooling funding, donors, conspiring against this one woman for work that she did to try and advance the United States for the better. And so thanks to folk at UNC, thanks to the community, people with strong voices, students, they said, nah, this ain't cool at all. This ain't gonna fly. We've had people, you had tenure professors resign. Students like, listen, I'm out. This is unacceptable. And so, in white folk fashion, man, fucking up the money. All right, you know what? We're going to offer her tenure. But it's like, damn, you could have did that from the beginning. And I, it's not, apples to apples. But this reminds me of what Rachel Nichols was talking about when it came to Maria Taylor. Like white folk giving shit that they don't really want to give. And so there's an expectation that we got to take it because it's given. And so Nikole Hannah-Jones like, nah, I got my ducks in a row, player. I'm okay. I'm taking my talents to Howard University. And so she'll be a tenured member of Howard School of Communications, filling the newly created position as Knight Chair in Race and Journalism. She will also found the Center for Journalism and Democracy, which will focus on training students in investigative journalism. Which is dope for her. And I didn't even mean get to add, they denied her tenure, but we said, listen, we're going to give you a little 5-year contract. Here, we're going to give you the scraps. Here goes some chitlins. Right, here go the rest of the pig. We're going to give it to you. We're not going to give you, the parts you might like, the pork chops. Here the rest of the hog. Go make some chitterlings. And so when that came out, that she was going to Howard, it was like, I'm happy. Right? And it's not, I don't know her personally, but what it represents. I posted on Facebook, it's the idea of going where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. And so often, for us black folk, we go to where we're tolerated. And we try to shake up it's there. They may give us a little title like, now is what? Diversity inclusion. I'm seeing so many black folk get the title diversity inclusion in whatever role. And so it's like scraps. Because what was you going to do if we didn't have this turn as a society? I don't even want to say turn as a society. Then what would we do? Not what would we do, what would they do? You know what I'm saying? And so that's an in vogue position, diversity and inclusion. Again, this idea of seeking validation of our credentials from those who consistently show they don't give a damn about black folk. And we go to bat for them. And that's why when you see folk like Steven Jackson or, they put Richard Jefferson and Kendrick Perkins in a tough position. Because this is their employer. And so you can only say so much. You know what I'm saying? You can only say so much. I see folks saying, this is great for her and Howard for sure. Cool, right? Salute to them. However, and I got to throw the however out there. Right? We recognize what Howard is. That is the quote unquote elite of the elite black institutions. What does this mean for the other HBCUs though? Who aren't getting $30 million to create these positions to where we can hire Felicia Rashad, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Nikole Hannah-Jones. What does it mean for places where I teach? Dell State, the Arkansas Pine Bluffs, the Tuskegees. We know the Morehouses and the Spellmans and the Howards, they gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? I'd be more impressed, and I think it would mean more for black folk when our elite peoples really start, hitting these lower level, these mid-level HBCUs. I'm just going to be honest. Because what happens if our bright and best keep going to Howards and the Morehouses and in the Spellmans? We're going to start seeing these 100 or so HBCUs fold like they've been folding. You know what I'm saying? And so it's no slight to Nikole Hannah-Jones and Ta-Nehisi Coates. But we're needed, our this level of intellect is also needed at these other institutions. Hell, they need it in other departments. My homegirl, who is a department chair at a predominantly white institution, she is tenured at this predominantly white institution. Last year, she interviewed for a position at Howard in the social work department. They wanted her to take a $30,000 pay cut. They wouldn't accept her tenure. Right? And I get it. When if they getting $30 million, we know Nikole Hannah-Jones bringing in bread. We know Ta-Nehisi Coates bringing in bread via donations, via research grants. We understand how these schools do. These R1 institutions. But fam, like 30,000? Shirley says $30,000 pay cut. Yes, these aren't the conversations that's being had. You know what I'm saying? When we try to get into these, and again, we talking about these schools, and I'm not talking about, overarching schools like HBCUs. I'm talking about the various schools within these institutions. Everybody not pulling in money. I thought about applying to Howard's PhD program until I realized I'm not getting no money. And it's expensive as heck. You know what I'm saying? And so again, juxtapose that with these other schools, the schools of journalism that's pulling in money. The arts that are pulling in money, right? Are they taking this bread and are they sending it over to the School of Social Work so they don't have to have our brightest and best social workers take $30,000 pay cuts? Nah, but if we're going to have this conversation, we got to have this conversation. And again, it's no slight to NHJ. That's my little nickname for Nikole Hannah-Jones. And so how can we if we really want our best to spurn to spurn Harvard and Yale, Columbia, NYU. I saw an endowed chair position at Temple. Something that once I get to that status, I would have to consider. Because it's not being offered at the Dell States. Definitely not at the Dell States. Or the Howards and so on and so on. So I think if we really going to take this step, we need to take the step. I saw Kendrick the wife. She posted about, do we really want... Oh, and I'm probably going to misconstrue it. She was like, maybe all we want is representation. And maybe that's just enough for some people. But for me, it's not. I don't have a desire to teach at a predominantly white institution like I do now. I don't have that same fire inside of me that I do when I know I'm teaching the black and brown kids, future scholars in the profession. I just don't have that same feeling. Yes, you get the same dedication, you get the same attention to detail, you get the same feedback, but it just feels different. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, as we elevate and this great for Howard, coming off the heels of the Felicia Rashad and what's going on with her. I mean, I knew we was going to forget about it anyway, because that's just how we are. We don't forgot about Sha'Carri Richardson already. I haven't seen a post about her in a minute. And when I say a minute, about 24 or 48 hours. But this is great for Howard, because it's just like they come in to save the day. And so hopefully once I graduate with my doctorate, and it might be a position at Howard, they not asking me to take no astronomical pay cut in order to come and educate and inspire folk that look like me. And so straight like that, we're going to keep the party going. I didn't even know I had this pickup for as long as I did. So this next story is, it's like white folk do the darndest things. So yesterday in Marlton, New Jersey, this white man went wild. Who was it, Mace? I guess I went wild when I'm in my French clothes. Mace, why was you in French clothes? We had food, but we had all that stuff out back then. Again, the questions we ask now when we start listening to this music. But this white man went wild, right? Edward Cagney Matthews assaulted a black man, his neighbor in Marlton, New Jersey. He verbally assaulted him. He made physical contact with him. I'm going to play the video now. If you haven't seen it, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on IG Live, rather, head on over to YouTube so you can see this video.
Explosive interaction between neighbors caught on video back on July 2nd and is now part of a police investigation.
Walk away.
It's not Africa.
Oh, this is Africa.
It's not Solomon or wherever you were.
I was born in America.
Well, then you know what common ground. What's common ground?
I don't give a shit about you.
According to police, the man in the video in the green shirt is 45-year-old Edward Cagney Matthews.
This over here, this over here, both have videotape of you putting your hands on me.
Matthews now faces harassment and bias intimidation charges connected to the dispute that, according to neighbors, stem from months.
And so you saw the disrespect that was levied towards that black man. He exhibited amazing restraint. As Shirley says, she heard about the story and the white man had been harassing his black neighbors for 3 years. That is indeed correct. But no charges has ever been levied against him until now. Now, we talk about the unmitigated gall of white folks sometimes. A lot of the times. And how they start feeling themselves. And this white man started feeling himself. And so amidst all that, he gave the cameraman his address and told people to pull up. And you can't tell black people to pull up to a situation, because what we gonna do, we gonna pull up. That's why when we have cookouts, you be like, yo, don't tell nobody, right? Because if you say, all right, yeah, it's for everybody, you can tell anybody to pull up, folk gonna post it, it's gonna get retweeted, you gonna hit so-and-so, who gonna hit so-and-so, who gonna get so-and-so, it's gonna be, instead of like a +1, it's gonna be a +7. Because that's just how we roll. And so we pulled up, right? And so this is what happens.
That's me talking. 3602 Gramercy Way, that's where I live. Come and see me.
2 hours later.
And that's black folk pulling up. He was arrested. He was charged. Well, who cares what the charges are? But he was arrested. And in the midst of that, black folk was able to get some stuff off their chest towards the police too, because they got hit with cups of liquid, and it looked like somebody had some popcorn, looked like a diaper, hit a cop in the head, and I was here for it. But again, like, how dare you? How dare you come up into my face, assault me? Again, the nerve of you. But unfortunately, in these type of communities where and again, I don't know the racial and ethnic makeup of these communities, but a lot of times black folk go to these white communities because they want to get away, right? And we know that's internalized hate. When we talking about, I'm moving to the suburbs. Why? So I can get away from the loud noise. Why? So I can get away from black people. I did it. And now I'm paying the price. Right? Because I talked about the Mexicans. They was turned up. Still don't understand what they got, why they love July 4th so much. Or maybe they just look for a reason to party. And I'm not talking about all Mexicans, I'm talking about these ones on the block. Still don't get why they want to do fireworks. That's not what we do. But again, that's another story that we done discussed. But I appreciated the support that this black man received, that this black family received, that these black folk in this community received. This just showed that we had one another's back, that we're not just accepting of your racist rants. This will not be tolerated. And I don't give kudos to the police. And I'm not going to start now. They did what needed to be done. They charged that white man. They got hit with a diaper or two. I'm just joking. I don't know if they got hit with a diaper, but they needed to. And they took him where he needed to be. Now, hopefully that was a learning experience for that white man. But I doubt it, because you are who you was before you got here. And that the little stint in jail, the little couple hours you spent before posting bond, or if you were released on your own recognizance, ROR. I watched Law and Order. We know that's not going to necessarily change. But you got to be hopeful, right? Because if we're not hopeful, what else do we have? And just like that, we're going to keep the party going. And so this last story was, I don't even know if it's a story. I just thought it was funny. I just wanted to get some jokes off. White people singing the national anthem in Walmart. There's so much irony to this. I'm just going to play a snippet of it. They say very patriotic. Where the hell is Hazlet, Texas? Don't it sound like when white folk be singing their songs in like the Catholic churches? It got that type of vibe to it. Ooh, say. I'm trying to cut it off because I'm sick of them. I'm sick of them, right? It makes no sense to me why you're breaking out singing the national anthem in Walmart. Number one, everything, Shirley says, well, it ain't Whitney's version. You're right about that, boss. You're right about that. I have no idea why you're breaking out singing singing the national anthem in Walmart. You're calling it patriotism as you buy all these products that were imported from China. It's such hypocrisy in all of that. I wonder if because it has to be, it's always one black person in Walmart. Always. Right? No matter where you are, it's one black person in Walmart. I wonder how they felt in that moment in time. Whether it's an employee or a shopper. How do you navigate that? I feel like that's the conversation with that person that I want to have. Like, do you keep walking? Do you stop? It would have been dope if somebody would have walked in between, still shopping, like, I don't know what the fuck y'all doing. I'm gonna go grab me some strawberries. What were they attempting to prove in that situation? That they got the vocals? That they love their country as they buy these products from China? I don't know. I really ain't got. That's the extent of my analysis on that. Listen, this is the second consecutive day that I've had Rhetorically Speaking. I feel good about that. Feel a little bit energized, a little bit inspired by it. You might just catch me tomorrow having a conversation about something else. And don't let me start bringing these guests back. Because once I get the guests back, then we're going to start rolling. You know what I mean? But listen, I appreciate those of you who tuned in. As always, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the share button so folk can watch this afterwards. I appreciate you. Peace.